Now that we have an understanding of automation generally, no discussion of automation is complete without machine learning. We will have a video on this later, so please watch for that. We'll just cover this briefly here. The first and primary tenet, if you will, is you don't use machine learning unless you have a reason to. This is one of the biggest mistakes I think people make. So that would be the thing I would lead with here. There are two high-level areas of machine learning. There's unsupervised machine learning and supervised machine learning. There's also an area called rules-based automation. This is a little distinct from machine learning and it's more exact. It's more of a flow chart, more of an if-then-else approach. But it is automation and it does kind of follow the logic of machine learning in a sense. However, machine learning is more fuzzy generally. It's more based on statistics and probability. Some people call it the science of sort of or the science of almost. But we'll see more about that, how that comes as we discuss this more. And again, rules-based is often used in conjunction with machine learning. The first of our two areas of machine learning is unsupervised machine learning. And what we mean by unsupervised is just that the algorithm that you are using is going to go into a set of data for you and find patterns that are already there. It's unsupervised. It's a little bit of a misnomer because there is some human metrics that have to be decided at the front end, but that's the idea. Often it's used to remove irrelevant data. It finds patterns of data where it's not relevant. It also helps you understand what's in the data. And so that's the primary use of unsupervised machine learning. There's quite a bit more to this, which we'll cover again in another video. In the context, though, here, anomaly detection is considered to be probably the most commonly used form of unsupervised machine learning. Here, the idea is to define what's normal. The machine learning will determine that for you. What's a normal transaction? What is a normal email? What is a normal behavior of a human being or activity on a server or on a repository, what have you? If it's not normal, it's considered an anomaly, an outlier, and is therefore likely to be a threat or at least an error. Our second and final area of machine learning is supervised machine learning. We're going to do this very quickly. We'll cover this in another video, so this probably won't do it complete justice. But essentially what supervised machine learning is with supervised we mean that we already know what the data is. And from that, the machine learning algorithm will learn from this historical data, and then will learn those patterns as a way of predicting future classifications or events. So let's take a quick example. Let's say we have a spreadsheet with 1,000,000 transactions in it. In the far right column, we have what are called a label or a class. And in this case, each transaction of the 1,000,000 rows will have either a yes or a no as whether it's fraud or not. This is called a training set. It's basically telling the algorithm what is or is not fraudulent. In that way, it's supervised. So what the algorithm will do then is it will go in and look at the fraudulent transactions and find patterns. And it will look at the non-fraudulent patterns and look for patterns there. And it will then try to distinguish between the two. One of the banes of supervised machine learning is that the data is not sufficient. The data between the non-fraud and fraud are too similar, so it's hard for it to make predictions. So this is a common issue with supervised machine learning. But for our purposes, from a conceptual standpoint, it has this historical data that it learns from, and then in our example, it would say if we see a transaction, we hope to be able to tell whether it is or is not fraudulent. At least that's the goal. Automation and compliance technology is a very broad topic, and I won't presume to touch on that in any complete form here at all. At a high level, though, we do see that threat detection, risk mitigation is always the primary goal here. Alerting and logging are very often a major piece of this. Alerting so that the right people can be involved when something is found, and logging so that we can determine what happened and also establish what we've done to mitigate risk and to handle the enterprise environment. Any repetitive task can be leveraged. We will, though, touch specifically in greater detail an area called data discovery, which is really becoming a very important topic in privacy and compliance regulation.